Most men are walking into relationships emotionally unarmed. Not because they're soft, but because they've never been taught the rules. Here's one you need to memorize. Women don't always say what they mean. Not out of malice, but emotion. And if you react instead of observe, you lose. Stoic men. We don't take the bait, we master the game. Welcome to the channel where emotional discipline isn't just encouraged, it's expected. Where decoding behavior isn't a trick, it's a tactic. If you've ever been left wondering what she really meant when she said, "I'm fine," or been blindsided by mixed signals that made zero sense, this is for you. Here, we translate emotional chaos into clarity. And we do it without whining, blaming, or begging. This video will break down 7 common lies women tell men, not to expose or demonize, but to prepare you. Because a woman might say, "It's not you, it's me," but what she's really saying. That's what we're here to uncover. If you're tired of being confused, manipulated, or weak, subscribe right now. It's time to stop chasing illusions and start seeing truth. Let's break down the lies and show you how to respond like a Stoic. Let's start with one of the most common and most misunderstood phrases in the female vocabulary. "I'm fine." You've heard it. You've probably even believed it. But here's the truth. She's not fine. She's upset. She's disappointed. She's emotionally charged. But she's not ready to say why. Now, this isn't about deceit, it's about emotion. See, when a woman says, "I'm fine," what she really means is, "I'm hurt, and I want you to care enough to figure out why." It's a loyalty test, a patience test, a puzzle. And if you take it at face value and move on without checking in, she thinks you don't care. But if you overreact, get defensive, anxious, or angry, you fail a different test. So what does the Stoic do? He stays calm. He recognizes that emotions are clouds. They pass. He doesn't absorb her frustration as truth or let it disturb his peace. He checks in once. "Are you sure? You seem off." If she insists she's fine, he accepts it. Then he moves on. He doesn't grovel. He doesn't press. He doesn't try to decode every sigh or tone. That's not strength. It's desperation. The Stoic man knows this. If she wants to talk, she will. When she does, he'll be ready to listen without judgment or reactivity. But until then, his energy remains centered. His mission remains clear. This is where most men mess up. They take "I'm fine" as an attack. They start chasing emotional validation, trying to fix what isn't even clearly broken. That desperation leaks insecurity. And that's exactly what repels her. Because women don't test you to hurt you, they test you to feel safe. They need to know that when emotions rise, you won't fall apart. So when she says, "I'm fine," don't panic. Don't play detective. Don't become the emotional sponge for her unspoken feelings. A Stoic man hears the storm, but doesn't step into it. He's aware. He's present. But he's not moved by emotion, hers or his own. And guess what happens? When you stop reacting, she starts revealing. When you stop chasing, she starts trusting. By staying still, you give her space to return to reason. By not escalating, you keep the connection intact. This isn't cold. It's controlled. And in the realm of male-female dynamics, control over yourself is the highest form of power. So next time you hear, "I'm fine," remember, it's not a statement. It's an invitation. But it's not your job to RSVP with panic. Just show her, through calm presence, that you see her, that you care. Then get back to your mission. Lie number 2. "I don't want anything for my birthday." Let's be honest, this one has fooled millions of men. She says it with a soft smile, maybe a shrug. Don't worry about it. I don't want anything. And if you take her at her word, you're in trouble. Because what she really means is this: "I want you to care enough to plan something anyway." This is one of the most subtle emotional tests women give. It's not about materialism. It's about emotional effort, attention, anticipation. She's watching to see, are you tuned in? Do you value me enough to ignore my words and read between the lines? Now, if that sounds unfair, it is. But here's the Stoic truth. Fairness isn't the point. Reality is. Women test. It's not malicious, it's instinctual. She doesn't want to give you a shopping list. She wants to see if you're capable of emotional intelligence. That's what makes her feel safe, seen, and chosen. So what happens when you take her words literally and do nothing? She feels invisible. She may not say it, but the disappointment will be real. And the next time something small happens, she'll remember. She won't blow up immediately. She'll slowly start to withdraw. That's how emotional drift begins, not through major fights, but through missed moments. The Stoic man doesn't miss those moments. He doesn't whine that she said she didn't want anything. He understands that emotional communication isn't always logical. He doesn't resent the test, he anticipates it. And more importantly, he plans for it. That doesn't mean going over the top. It doesn't mean maxing out your credit card or turning her birthday into a week-long production. It means intentional effort. Even something small, her favorite coffee in bed, a handwritten note, a spontaneous dinner, says, "I see you." Because for her, it's never about the gift. It's about being remembered without needing to ask. And here's the Stoic play. You don't do this for her approval. You don't do it because you're afraid she'll be mad. You do it because it's who you are. A man with discipline. A man with presence. A man who leads. This mindset frees you from the emotional traps most men fall into. They get resentful, sarcastic, or passive-aggressive. Well, you said you didn't want anything. That's not strength. That's reaction. The Stoic never reacts. He chooses. He leads. So when she drops the "I don't want anything" line, hear what she means, not what she says. Then act with quiet intention. Because at the end of the day, the Stoic doesn't need validation. He doesn't need credit. He just needs clarity. And clarity tells him this. If she's still testing you, she still values you. She still wants to feel your presence. She still wants to be chosen. And you get to decide how to respond. Not with emotion. Not with ego. But with strength. And that, more than any bouquet or bracelet, is what she really wants from you. Line number 3, "You're the only one I've ever felt this way about." At first glance, this sounds like a compliment. It's flattery dipped in sugar, something every man secretly wants to hear. And that's the danger. Because when a woman says this, especially early in a relationship, she's not necessarily lying maliciously. She's expressing how she feels in the moment. But feelings are not facts. They shift. They bend. They're real, but not reliable. And that's the Stoic's first lesson. Don't get drunk on emotion, especially not praise. Let's break it down. When she says, "You're the only one I've ever felt this way about," what she might actually mean is, "You're the one I'm most excited about right now." That distinction matters. Too many men hear this and start building castles in the sky. They believe they're the one. They stop focusing on their purpose. They get lazy. They pedestal her. And just like that, the frame shifts. He's no longer the grounded, high-value man she was attracted to. He's a lovesick servant waiting for affection. And guess what? She feels it. That shift in energy. That surrender of strength. And slowly, her attraction fades. The Stoic doesn't fall into this trap. He appreciates the moment, but he doesn't make it his identity. He hears praise, but he doesn't rely on it for validation. Because the truth is, she's felt this way before. Maybe not in these exact words. But she's been infatuated. She's been obsessed. She said, "forever," to someone else before you. And she might again. That's not cynicism. That's clarity. As a Stoic, you don't attach yourself to illusions. You don't pretend the honeymoon phase is eternal. You don't build your self-worth on someone else's emotional high. Instead, you enjoy the moment and keep your mission first. It's easy to believe you're different. It strokes the ego. She's never felt this before? Feels good. Until she leaves, and tells the next guy the same thing. Don't be surprised. Be centered. Because when a woman is in love, or even infatuated, her emotions amplify. She genuinely feels like you're the only one. But feelings fade. And if you were only standing on the platform of her praise, you'll fall hard when it disappears. So here's the Stoic approach. Smile. Accept the compliment. But stay grounded in who you are without her praise. Keep building your life. Keep doing the work. Keep leading the relationship, not chasing her words. Because the strongest men are the ones who know how to receive affection without becoming addicted to it. They don't get blinded by validation. They don't let flattery make them foolish. They understand this truth. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's real or lasting. So the next time you hear, "You're the only one I've ever felt this way about," respond with gratitude. But don't build your identity around it. You are not made strong by her words. You're made strong by how little you need them. Line number 4. It's not you, it's me. Let's decode one of the most classic breakup lines in the book. It's been used in sitcoms, dramas, and real life a million times over. And every time, it leaves the guy wondering, was it really me? Here's the raw truth. When a woman says, "It's not you, it's me," what she actually means is, "I've lost interest, but I don't want to feel guilty about it." It's an emotional exit strategy. It's not that she's suddenly going through a deep spiritual awakening. It's not that she just realized she's not ready for a relationship. It's that she doesn't feel the same anymore, and she doesn't want to have a messy confrontation about it. So she wraps it up in soft language. She blames herself. She pretends it's about timing, or stress, or life. But the bottom line is, she's done. Now, this is where most men crumble. They hear those words and instantly start trying to fix themselves. They go into apology mode. Or they double down on effort, trying to win her back. Big mistake. Because here's what's really happening. She's already emotionally checked out. She's likely been planning this exit for a while. She's been mentally rehearsing the goodbye. You're just getting the final version. The curated script. The gentle breakup that protects her from feeling like the villain. And here's where the Stoic man separates himself from the average. The average man begs, pleads, bargains. The Stoic man detaches. Not with bitterness. Not with cruelty. With clarity. He doesn't try to rewrite the story. He doesn't ask for more time. He doesn't crumble under the weight of rejection. He simply steps back and says, "If your heart isn't in this, then I wish you well." That response alone separates kings from boys. Because here's the Stoic mindset. You are not defined by whether or not someone chooses you. You are defined by how you carry yourself when they don't. A woman pulling away is not a signal for you to chase. It's a signal for you to return to your mission. Because chasing someone who has emotionally exited only lowers your value. You teach her that your self-worth is tied to her approval. And that's the fastest way to lose respect, both hers and your own. Instead, redirect, recenter, refocus. Every man will face this line at some point in his life. And the weak will hear it as a death sentence. The Stoic will hear it as a redirection. It's not you, it's me, is just her way of softening the truth. She's no longer emotionally invested. So don't make it about ego. Don't demand closure. Don't spiral into self-doubt. Accept, detach, elevate. Because you are not here to convince someone to stay. You're here to become so rooted in your purpose that anyone who leaves simply clears space for something better. This isn't about becoming numb. It's about becoming stable. Emotions can still move through you, but they don't control you. That's what it means to be a Stoic in a world of reactive men. So when you hear, "It's not you, it's me," don't get pulled into the performance. Smile, nod, walk away. Not because you're cold, but because you've got places to go that don't require her permission. Line number 5, "I'm over my ex." It's one of the most dangerous phrases a man can believe, especially early in a relationship. A woman tells you, "I'm over my ex," and you want to believe it. It gives you comfort. It makes you feel like the emotional battlefield is clear. But here's what she's really saying. I want to be over him. But I'm not. And there's a difference. A massive one. Most men hear those words and think it's a green light to invest, to open up, to go all in. They think, she's healed. The past is behind her. She's ready. But if you're not paying attention to her actions, not just her words, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Because unresolved emotions don't disappear just because someone says they're gone. They show up in the way she talks about him. Too often, too bitterly, too fondly. They show up when she still checks his social media. When his name still triggers emotion. When comparisons slip into conversation, subtle or obvious. This doesn't mean she's evil. It means she's human. But it's your job as a Stoic man to see reality, not cling to fantasy. You don't need her to be perfect. But you do need to know where she stands emotionally. And if she's still standing halfway in the past, you don't try to drag her into the present. You observe, then choose your next move with logic, not lust. The biggest mistake men make? Trying to compete with a ghost. You'll never win that game. Because you're battling an illusion, her idealized memory of someone who no longer exists. Or worse, her guilt for wanting to move on. And here's the thing about ghosts, they haunt the relationship. Quietly. Invisibly. Until you realize you've been cast as the emotional rebound, not the real thing. The Stoic response? You don't chase. You don't fight shadows. You watch. You ask a simple question, not with judgment, but with awareness. Are you sure you're fully present? I'm not here to compete with the past. That one sentence tells her everything she needs to know about you. You're not desperate. You're not insecure. And you're not going to play emotional cleanup for someone else's mess. You offer presence, but not therapy. You offer stability, but not sacrifice. And if you see that she's still emotionally tethered to the past, you don't punish her. You distance yourself. Not in anger, but in self-respect. Because you understand this truth, a woman cannot fully bond with you if she's still grieving or idealizing someone else. You don't have time to be someone's stepping stone. You're the destination. But that only works if you act like it. Don't try to be the better man than her ex. Be yourself, strong, grounded, focused. Let her see the contrast. Let her feel the difference. And if she's ready, she'll choose you without hesitation. If not, you don't force it. You don't beg for clarity. You step back into your path, with or without her. Because the Stoic man knows, love should be chosen in wholeness, not in pieces. And if she's still fragmented by a past love, then she's not ready for a future with you. So when you hear, I'm over my ex, don't just listen. Look. And lead yourself accordingly. Lie number 6. I've never done this before. She leans in. Soft voice. Slight hesitation. She says it like a confession. I've never done this before. To the untrained man, it sounds innocent, pure, special. But to the Stoic, it's a pattern we've seen before. This line is not always about fact, it's about framing. She's not necessarily lying with malice. She's shaping your perception. She wants to be seen in a certain light, different from those other girls, even if her actions say otherwise. So what does she really mean? I want you to think I'm special. Now here's the key. Women don't just communicate for accuracy. They communicate for impact. That line is meant to soften your judgment, heighten your emotional investment, and make you feel chosen. In her mind, it makes the moment more meaningful. In your mind, if you're not careful, it makes you forget who you are. You start pedestalizing her. You start thinking you've unlocked a level no other man has touched. You build a fantasy based on a sentence whispered in vulnerability. But here's the Stoic truth. Words mean nothing without matching behavior. Maybe she has said this line before, to others. Maybe she says it every time she wants to be seen as the good girl. Maybe it's just how she navigates early intimacy. Whatever the case, your response determines whether you stay grounded or fall into illusion. The average guy. He falls. He believes he's the first, the only, the exception. He overinvests. He emotionalizes what should be approached with presence, not pedestalizing. The Stoic? He smiles. Not with arrogance, but with understanding. He doesn't interrogate her. He doesn't roll his eyes. He simply doesn't absorb it as truth or fantasy. He stays rooted in reality. Because a Stoic man knows this, a woman's past isn't your battlefield, but your mind is. And when you allow soft words to bypass your clarity, you set yourself up for manipulation, whether it's intentional or not. This doesn't mean you become suspicious. It means you become discerning. You watch how she behaves. You observe how she treats herself, others, and you. You don't let a single sentence override your frame. And here's the deeper point. You don't need to be the first. You need to be the best version of yourself, no matter who came before you. Your confidence isn't dependent on her history. It's forged through your discipline, your mission, and your emotional control. Because when a man is secure in who he is, no past can shake him. When she says, "I've never done this before," you don't interrogate her. You don't freeze up. You don't fall into fantasy. You simply respond with presence. You guide the moment, not with expectation, but with clarity. And that alone sets you apart from 99% of men. You become the man she does feel safe being real with, because she knows you're not chasing illusions. You're not here for approval. You're here for truth. And truth doesn't come from words. It comes from watching. So when she drops that line, whether out of habit or insecurity, don't take the bait. Smile. Observe. Continue leading. Because in the end, it's not about whether she's said it before. It's about how you carry yourself after she says it. And that's where the Stoic stands alone. Lie number 7. Let's just be friends. It sounds harmless. Almost kind. She smiles gently, avoids eye contact, and says it like she's offering you a prize. Let's just be friends. But make no mistake, this is not an invitation. It's a consolation. A polite way to tell you, I don't feel that way about you, but I still want to keep the attention. And if you accept it, you're not being respectful. You're being used. Here's the truth. When a woman offers friendship after rejecting you romantically, she's not asking for a brother. She's asking for a buffer, someone to comfort her, boost her ego, or kill boredom when other options fall through. That's not friendship. That's orbiting. It's emotional limbo disguised as connection. You're not the man she chooses. You're the man she keeps around, just in case. And the Stoic? He doesn't accept a part-time role in a game he didn't sign up to play. He doesn't get bitter. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't write angry paragraphs or demand explanations. He simply walks away. Why? Because a Stoic man values his energy. He knows that attention is currency. And giving it away to someone who doesn't reciprocate is spiritual poverty. Let's be clear. True friendship is beautiful. But it's built on mutual interest and clear boundaries. Not unresolved tension and one-sided hope. When a woman says, "Let's just be friends," after rejecting your desire for something deeper, she's protecting herself, not you. She doesn't want to be the villain. She wants you close enough to keep her comfortable, but far enough that she's not committed. And you become her emotional crutch. The guy she calls when her actual love interest ghosts her. The one who gets the stories, the support requests, the little dopamine hits of, "What do you think I should do?" without ever getting chosen. This is death by emotional starvation. The Stoic response? Gratitude for the clarity. He doesn't try to negotiate. He doesn't linger in the maybe. He doesn't mistake kindness for compatibility. He honors his own boundaries and leaves. Not because he's mad, but because he's self-respecting. And that's the lesson here. Being just friends after rejection isn't honorable. It's often avoidance. You're avoiding the pain of walking away by choosing the slow death of emotional servitude. The Stoic man chooses clean pain over confusion. He'd rather grieve a loss and rebuild than live in false hope and stay stuck. So when she says, "Let's just be friends," you smile. You thank her for the honesty. Then you exit the frame completely. No games. No mixed signals. Just clarity. Because here's what happens next. When you walk with strength, she feels it. You remind her that attention must be earned. That you're not another man waiting in line for scraps of affection. And maybe, just maybe, she'll realize what she lost. But you're not waiting for that. Because you've already moved on. Back to your purpose. Back to your peace. That's the Stoic difference. You don't cling to maybes. You honor the no. And you never, ever settle for half of what you want. Let's bring this all together. You've just been handed a map. 7 lies women commonly tell men, not to deceive, but to protect, to test, and sometimes to manipulate without even realizing it. And here's the truth. Most men get played, not because women are wicked, but because men lack emotional clarity. They react. They panic. They chase. But not you. You now understand that when she says, "I'm fine," she's not fine. And your role isn't to decode her emotions, but to remain calm, offer space, and move with presence. When she says, "I don't want anything for my birthday," you don't believe her. You plan anyway, because effort speaks louder than instruction. When she says, "You're the only one I've ever felt this way about," you don't get high off compliments. You stay grounded, knowing praise today doesn't promise loyalty tomorrow. When you hear, "It's not you, it's me," you don't crumble. You detach with dignity. Because your worth isn't tied to her validation. If she says, "I'm over my ex," but her actions scream otherwise, you don't compete with ghosts. You observe. Then decide. When she tells you, "I've never done this before," you don't fall for the performance. You accept the moment, but stay clear-headed. And finally, when she offers, "Let's just be friends," after turning you down, you don't accept the sidelines. You walk away. Not in bitterness, but in strength. Every single one of these moments is a test. A test of your frame. Your discipline. Your ability to stay stoic in a world that demands emotional reactivity from men. And most fail. But not you. Because the Stoic doesn't chase. He leads. He doesn't seek comfort, he seeks clarity. He's not moved by chaos, he creates calm. And while other men spiral, the Stoic man builds. He builds purpose, power, and peace. Now the choice is yours. You can forget this video, go back to old patterns, and keep wondering why things keep falling apart. Or you can adopt this mindset, master these responses, and become the rare kind of man she actually respects. Because here's the secret. It's not about figuring women out. It's about figuring yourself out, and becoming so grounded that nothing she says can shake your center. That's real power. So if this hit something in you, if it woke you up, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button. Drop a comment with the biggest lie you've heard from a woman. And subscribe for more content that doesn't coddle you, but calls you to level up. Because the world doesn't need more emotional boys. It needs disciplined men. Stoic. Unshaken. Unapologetic. Let's build that together. One video at a time.